Welcome back to Holiefy. Have you ever felt completely overlooked, deeply misunderstood, or outright dismissed by the people around you? Rejection is one of the most painful psychological experiences a human being can endure. But what if that pain was actually your greatest hidden advantage? Today, we are exploring the alchemy of rejection. In this video, I will walk you through a powerful 5-step framework to turn neglect, doubt, and isolation into undeniable success. In ancient alchemy, the goal was to take heavy, worthless lead and chemically transmute it into pure gold. Psychological alchemy works the exact same way. We are going to take the heavy, worthless opinions of your doubters and transmute them into the golden foundation of your future. Settle in, take a deep breath, and let's begin your transformation.
Let's start with a hard but necessary truth. Neglect is inevitable, but the reaction is entirely yours. Every ambitious person reaches a crossroads when their dreams are mocked and their potential is completely ignored. In this moment, you face the ultimate binary choice. You can choose the first path and allow the noise to validate your self-doubt. This is the path of surrender, where you let other people's limitations become your own reality. Or you can choose the path of the alchemist. You can use their skepticism as the exact raw material needed to forge your proof. Psychologically, rejection activates the exact same regions of your brain as physical pain. But you have the cognitive power to reframe that pain into drive.
To overcome neglect, you must first understand the anatomy of neglect. Why do people doubt you? First, big ambitions intimidate those who believe the extraordinary is simply impossible. Your vision triggers their deep fear of inadequacy. Second, there is a fundamental misunderstanding. New paths and unproven potential lack context. Human beings naturally ignore what they cannot yet comprehend. Third, you are fighting societal gravity, where the collective instinct aggressively demands conformity. Your divergence is met with resistance because people desperately want you to live their version of normal. Finally, recognize jealousy and envy. Your drive to elevate yourself triggers deep insecurities in those who choose to remain stagnant. It is never about you. It is always about them.
Now that you understand the psychology of your detractors, you must make a conscious identity shift. You have to shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to the active architect of your success. Ask yourself right now, how do you respond when the world looks at you and says, you can't do it? Do you retreat or do you build? To build, we will deploy the 5-pillar rebound strategy. This is not just a motivational concept, it is a highly methodical process designed to build mental armor and undeniable proof. By adopting this strategy, you strip the power away from the people who ignored you and put the steering wheel firmly back into your own hands. Let's explore the first pillar.
We begin with Pillar 1. Silence the defense, amplify the work. The operating system for this pillar is incredibly simple, but incredibly difficult. Talk less, do more. You must retreat into deep work. When you feel attacked or neglected, your ego desperately wants to defend itself. But you must avoid the trap. Arguing with skeptics drains the exact energy required for execution. Every minute you spend trying to verbally convince a doubter is a minute stolen from building your dream. The desired outcome here is to let undeniable success be the only argument you ever make. Let your results speak so loudly that your critics are forced into absolute silence.
Next is Pillar 2, construct the competency ladder. You must understand that neglect thrives in the gap between your ambition and your current proof, and your only job is to close the gap. Right now, you might be existing as unproven potential that is easily ignored. To change this, first define your exact target goal and identify the required micro skills. Then systematically acquire and learn the specific mechanisms of that field. Finally, you compound this knowledge. Execute daily, incremental improvements until your sheer skill level physically forces them to pay attention. By doing this, you build a bridge straight from being ignored to achieving undeniable mastery that must be respected.
Let's move to Pillar 3. Anchor in the fortress of confidence. Your greatest vulnerability is your psychological craving for external validation. The truth is, neglect only inflicts critical damage when it aligns with your own internal doubts. If you don't believe in yourself, their rejection will destroy you. The ultimate defense is internal self-belief. When others attempt to shrink you down, you must fiercely expand your belief in your own capacity. Adhere strictly to this psychological rule. Positivity is an active discipline. You must never allow external rejection to draft your internal dialogue. Build a fortress around your mind, and do not let their negativity pass the gates.
If you feel overwhelmed by doubt, look at Pillar 4, the historical precedent of rejection. History's greatest minds faced brutal neglect. Steve Jobs suffered the massive setback of being ousted from Apple, the very company he founded. Yet, he returned to build the most valuable corporation on Earth. Thomas Edison was expelled from school and actually labeled unable to learn by his teacher. But his outcome was illuminating the modern world. J.K. Rowling faced a setback where her Harry Potter manuscript was brutally rejected by 12 different publishers. She went on to create a billion-dollar literary empire. The historical pattern is undeniable. They didn't quit, they leveled up their skills, and they simply outworked the doubt.
This brings us to Pillar 5, transmuting friction into fuel. You must observe the difference between the defeated and the alchemist. When hit with the trigger, you can't do this. The defeated accepts the limitation, while the alchemist smiles and says, "Watch how I do it." When facing the setback, you will fail. The defeated gives up at the first hurdle. The alchemist pushes back, declaring, "I am only failing if I stop trying." When struck by the insult, you won't amount to anything. The defeated internalizes the shame. The alchemist transmutes that energy and says, "I will prove you wrong with my results."
Let's synthesize this into the engine of undeniable success. Think of this as a mechanical system for your mind. It starts when you experience neglect and doubt. This is your raw fuel. Because neglect equals fuel, you don't run from it, you harvest it. You channel that dark energy directly into silent focus, effectively activating Pillar 1. You use it to forge your internal confidence, locking in Pillar 3. And you apply it to build your daily competency, turning the gears of Pillar 2. When this engine runs continuously, the only possible output is that you achieve unignorable success, which becomes your ultimate proof to the world.
As we wrap up today's session on Holiefy, I want you to internalize this. Today's rejection is tomorrow's origin story. Every superhero has a moment where they were beaten down, and this is yours. The individuals who face the absolute harshest neglect often emerge as the greatest successes. However, this only happens provided they stay anchored to their goals, absolutely refuse to break under criticism, and commit to lifelong growth. The next time you feel entirely isolated, reframe your perspective. Understand that when everyone ignores you, it is simply the universe giving you the quiet space required to build your empire. Stay focused, do the deep work, and I will see you in the next video.